Hi, everybody, and welcome to the LSAT Demon Daily Podcast. My name is Erik Johansson. I am a teacher and tutor with the LSAT Demon, and with me today is now former LSAT Demon student Megan Ezekannagha, who just submitted her applications, having crushed the LSAT. How you doing today, Megan?
I'm doing great. All my applications are in, so just happy.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations on reaching the end of your LSAT journey. Give me a brief overview of just the scope of where you started, where you ended up, and how long you were studying.
So it was last fall. My husband and I we're both in the Army, so we've been talking about getting out. We weren't sure when to do it. And last fall, he decided he's 100% going to go to MBA. And we thought we were going to go this fall. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I started thinking about my options and decided, he mentioned I should go to law school. And after 2 weeks of thinking about it, decided, yes, this is what I'm going to do. So that was September last year. And I thought I could just take the LSAT, apply in a couple months, and I'd be good to go. I did not know what I was getting into. So September 2021 is when I started studying. I just did a quick Google search of how do you study for the LSAT, and I found some free, this is a recommended 3-month study guide from some free website. I bought every single paper test from Amazon, and a couple different hardback books, some paper books, and started studying. And I said, I'm going to be all in on this. So I searched for podcasts that had the word LSAT or law school. And so I found the LSAT Demon, and I started listening to Ben and Nathan, and I realized there's a much better way than just reading all these questions randomly and not really having a sort of path or any sort of structure, I suppose. So my first practice test I took before I found about LSAT Demon, I did it on paper. I got a 154. I think at most I just kind of reviewed what each section was about. And I took it sitting outside at a coffee shop, but writing down the answers. I left the house because I have a daughter. So I got to get out of the house. The dog and my daughter are going to be distracting, and took it outside at a coffee shop. But once I found the LSAT Demon, though, I was like, those books have been collecting dust in my office because using the online program, I didn't even know the LSAT was online. That's how little I knew about what it was.
Sure.
But the website is just so intuitive and easy, and you can review everything. So I love that about LSAT Demon. So I actually wrote in to Nathan and Ben probably November last year asking hey, is it crazy for me to take the test in January and apply for law school? And they basically said, yeah, it's kind of like you're rushing it. I do have the full GI Bill, so I'm very lucky. So I'm just applying to get in, and I already have law school paid for, which I know is one of the LSAT Demon philosophies. So I was very fortunate to have that. But based off their advice, and my husband and I thought a little bit more, we decided to wait a year. And that was the best decision because I got a 162 in January. And I knew that I had a lot more to go. I could do better. I wasn't perfect on games yet. And I kind of just was winging it a little bit at that point. So decided to keep studying and keep going on and apply this fall.
Yeah. Talk about that decision, because I went through a similar one myself last year. I thought I was similarly going to apply late in the cycle last year to attend school starting in 2022. And that is not the case. But I remember it being a difficult coming to terms moment.
Yeah.
Was it the same for you, especially with family involved?
Oh, yes. Once I decide how something in my life is going to happen, it has to happen that way. And I was very much I love the Army. Don't get me wrong. It's given me a lot, but I now have 2 children. I'm married, and we want to stay in one place. And the longer you stay in the Army, the more you move. And so once I decided, I started telling everybody. So I'm getting out of the Army, and it's going to happen. So then to have to backtrack that and say, actually, one more year, I'll stay in one more year. It definitely was humbling, but the right decision because, we're going to go back to school, not have our source of income. So we're saving aggressively right now. So that was good. And also I think I would have been rushed if I would have tried to do that. And I have a 6-month-old as well. So I'd have had an infant in law school. And that wouldn't have mixed. So it's good. I think it was the right decision. And oftentimes, yeah, I'm 31, so I'm even older, and I'm still feeling like I hear a lot of these, college students think, oh, I'm going to be too old if I wait a year. I don't really have that perspective, but I did feel that pressure a little bit. But now that I waited, it doesn't feel like I lost any time at all.
Right.
Anytime.
Well, you probably finished, you talk more about your journey later, but you probably finished, got the LSAT, and then immediately it was time to start on other aspects of your application. So it was, but you got to do those things, hopefully not simultaneously.
Yeah.
So you got the 162 in January. You had decided, I'm going to keep studying. I know I can do better. Where did you go from there?
Well, I thought that I would be able to study a lot still between January to March, which was the plan. But my job got really busy. I was pregnant with my second child at that time, who was due in April. So I thought I'm going to just whip out another LSAT right before she's born. I ended up canceling. I registered for that test. I canceled it because I didn't study enough because work got crazy. And I was just kind of like 1 hour a day at least. And I think I was on the free plan for a while. Once my daughter was born in April, though, took a couple weeks off, to be a mom. And then being on maternity leave, she naps all the time. Infants, if anybody's familiar with infants, they just eat and sleep all the time. So that was awesome. I was able to study a lot. And I took the live. That's when I took to live, is in May. So May and June, I did live. So I was able to go to classes during the day and really was able to spend more time going to classes, studying, and not be distracted by work. So that was great. And I think I scheduled for August after that. Yeah. So I went back to work right after I took the test. So I took extra time off, took the August test, and I was in really good shape then.
So that you could keep studying until before you went back to work. Gotcha.
Yeah. So that way, like, go back to work, I can get back in the work zone and not worry about the LSAT. But I was scoring it like in the 170, the high 160s to low 170s. So when I got a 165 in August, I was like, okay, I can do better. I know I can do better. And I'd already put all this time and I'd gone to all these classes. So really though, between August and October, I didn't actually I took like 4 or 5 tests, but I did a lot more sections and kind of reviewed things and just stayed fresh. But I think it was more of a confidence thing. I didn't get games perfect, I know, in August, but then October, I know I got games perfect. I think that's what really got me to the 170 is making
you knew that you crushed it.
Perfect. Yeah. I had 10 minutes left. 10 minutes left on the game. I was like, what?
What did you do with your 10 minutes?
Well, there was the questions about if this rule changed to this rule, which rule would keep it the same?
Sure.
I was able to go back and thoroughly make sure I got the right answer. So I spent 10 minutes on one question. That was great.
Sure. But you crushed it. And so that was the October test?
Yes.
And you scored a
170.
Nice. So from a diagnostic of 154 over about a year of studying with full-time work in the Army and having an actual child, plus another one that you were caring for at the same time, 16-point improvement, and you're just in a completely different league.
Oh yeah. It's a game changer. And I feel more confident about my applications and my chances and where I can go. I will say, even though there were periods within that year where I didn't study as much, I was doing an hour a day at least, and getting as much practice as I could, but even when it was like heavy work was really intense. And then the times that I had more time, I would spend more time if I needed to. But I did notice, like, probably the first 6 months was a lot more time. And then towards the end, like, you're leaner. You don't have to spend as much time, but you benefit just as much towards the end.
Yeah. What I love what you said, because you took the August test and you scored at the bottom end of your range, but it sounds like you didn't freak out and you didn't overreact. You just knew that you had a bad day for yourself, but that you were still perfectly capable of scoring in the 170s. So you didn't overreact. You just stuck to the game plan and kind of trusted in your the fact that you were already good at the test and sort of maintained that until you got to October, and then had all the confidence in the world going into that test.
Yeah.
Awesome. So that's great. Tell me about that, a little bit more about that routine. Did you find, given how busy you were at various points, and having kids and kind of your schedule changing, that you were able to, at least, you said you always kept at least 1 hour per day.
Yeah.
Was that, did you like carve out an hour a day that you always knew was your study time, or did it kind of fluctuate?
Yeah.
To what extent were you like strict with when and how you studied versus just kind of changed accordingly?
I wish I was stricter with myself. I think it would have been, maybe I would have been a little shorter time frame for me, but it was either, if I didn't, sometimes I'd get the hour after my kids went to daycare. My husband would take them early. Most times it was during lunch. That was the best time for me, because I was at work, so I could close the door or go off somewhere and study for an hour at lunch. That was the best time. But when I was studying more than 1 hour a day, it was after bedtime routine. So I'd do the bath, put both the girls to bed, and then I'd get an hour or two. And before my other daughter was born, put her to bed. But that was good too. My husband's studying for the GRE at the same time, so it's not like we wanted to hang out at night. We both were studying. He got the office, I got the kitchen.
Gotcha.
So that helped, having a study buddy, someone suffering through it. We didn't get to compare questions, but we at least knew we were both busy, and we're not pressuring each other to like go out to dinner or something.
Yeah, you were both in the thick of it and
we're both
commiserating.
laying and studying. Yeah, exactly.
Nice. Cool. Were there any points along the way that you reflect on as like inflection points when something really clicked, or I don't know, maybe it was just the decision to delay, or like key moments on the journey that stick out in your mind where you kind of realized that something about the test that kind of took you to the next level?
Yeah, probably 3 different moments. The first being the decision to wait a year, and realizing that I can take my time and get really good at this. And I don't remember who mentioned it, but comparing the test to a marathon, not a sprint, and training, or even just training like any sort of athletic competition, that it takes time. Your brain is a muscle. So that was an epiphany. Like I can't spend 5 or 6 hours every day on this. Like I just, like, I don't go out and run 10 miles right now. Like I'm running only 15 minutes to get better at running.
Sure.
And then the other 2 is the live classes. I was decent at reading comprehension before, but it was also the thing I hated studying the most, because I just didn't want to do it. Doing the live classes and forcing myself to go to the reading classes was super, super beneficial, and volunteering to answer questions or read, and learning how to read through it and like anticipate questions. So that really helped, I think, get me a couple more questions better on reading comprehension. And then finally, understanding how to do worlds in the games was huge, and understanding the entire game before I started writing anything down. Because I was notorious, like I would write, and then get to the end and like I misunderstood it. So once I started just reading the whole thing and then building the worlds, if it was worlds, I did much better. So those 3 things.
That's something I try to model and talk about in my classes a lot, is read through the whole game and try to understand it in your own brain first. And recognize that you can understand a lot of it before having to write anything down. And to the extent that you can, it's going to keep you from writing down stuff that's wrong. So that's great.
Every time I messed up, it's because I started writing. My August test, I missed a rule because I misread it, and so I wasted so much time. Yeah, so it makes a big difference.
So you said that the going to the live classes was a big help. Was that just like the extra motivation of having that resource?
Yeah, it was a forcing function. I made sure 3 to 4 times a week to go to a class that included reading, or if it was completely on reading comprehension, that was like games. I could do games all night long. Like I probably will still do it. No, I probably won't, but like I love doing, I would sit here with a glass of wine and like do games and I'd be like, wow, it's already 10 o'clock. Oh my goodness. But reading comprehension was hard. So the live classes was a great motivating factor for me to get better at reading comprehension.
Did you ever get to a point where it felt like you had a little bit of that games experience on reading comp?
It did. At the very end, it did. I started, that's between the August and October test. If I did a section, it was reading and I'd be done. I'm like, wow, I got this.
Nice.
It's kind of like you get that swagger because you're like, wow, I didn't miss any. Oh my goodness.
I also love on reading comp, you can actually learn things. Like I have learned things from LSAT reading comp.
Yeah, teaching yourself or figuring out how to get yourself interested was a big. Once you do that, once you're like, wait, I do want to learn about, journalism in the, I don't know, 1800s, whatever random thing that they bring up, and you're like, I didn't even know this was a thing, but it is.
Totally.
So I'm gonna figure it out, and I can tell a story at a party about this. Like,
awesome, cool. Well, Megan, big congratulations on all that you've accomplished and best of luck. Definitely stay in touch with the outcome of your applications. How many schools have you applied to?
16 schools.
16 schools. And was that a casting a wide net geographically? Is your family okay with the move, or are you trying to stay put?
Yeah, we ideally want to end up in Texas. We love Texas, but we're pretty much all over the place. Arizona, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, all over the place.
Great.
My husband's going to get his MBA too, so we're just trying to match same city or same school. Sure. So out of the 16, I'm sure we'll both get into at least one. Awesome.
Well, that's so great. Any final parting words of wisdom or advice for those students listening right now who are on their own grinds?
Yes, I think there's 3 things that I think help me. One is mastering the games, getting none wrong, getting them all right, reading comprehension, engaging the passage, and stating the main point in your own words will help set you off on the right foot. And then finally, one question at a time. It's just one question at a time. Don't go beyond that. I had a child while studying, so I had the same mantra. One contraction at a time. So this can apply to multiple areas of your life. And now I'm getting back into running, so it's 1 mile at a time, 1 minute at a time, whatever.
Heck, so you can apply it. Time.
Yeah. Amen to that.
Yeah. No, I'm running a little bit myself lately as well, and it's a lot of just like, all right, get to that tree.
Yes.
And then once you're done with that tree, take a breath. Okay, get to that mailbox.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Great. All right. So that was get perfect on the games, really engage and become interested in the RC passages, and take everything one question at a time. Love it. Yep. Megan Ezekannagha is a former LSAT Demon student who went from a 154 to a 170 and now has applications in. Congratulations again, Megan, and thanks for joining, and stay in touch.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Email daily@lsatdemon.com if you want to share any LSAT or law school admissions related news. Thanks for listening.